Kaspa news and everything you've missed in the last 7 days, all categorized for you now based on data. But first, very briefly, what is Kaspa actually for those who don't know Kaspa yet? Similar to Bitcoin, but significantly faster and more efficient. If you want Kaspa explained, I'll link a video above where I explain Kaspa in detail. But let's jump straight into the last month now. We're looking at the momentum. That's at 41, so a mixed phase. But we even have 71% positive news, only 14% neutral, and 15% negative. The on-chain trend is stable. That means it's being used, Kaspa is being used. And what are the biggest drivers of the last few weeks? Well, development is continuing, right? The price is actually near the yearly low, but the computing power is slowly recovering. So that's positive news. But now we're going through all the news for you individually, as always. The first piece of news is that there is a brand new programming language for developers to use. So Argent, which was officially released on July 24th, is essentially a new tool for the Kaspa network, meaning that it is now naturally much easier to build applications here, right? Source, KAS Media. Then for the second piece of news, which is also extremely exciting, we have new video courses for app developers. The first videos on this topic were released and a starter code package was released too. What does that mean in the end? Well, that naturally more and more developers can get started more easily. Source, Michael Sutton on August 6th. Then, there are fewer new coins per month being mined on the Kaspa network, right? The mining rewards were officially cut back on August 5th, right? And actually, 96.21% of the total supply has already been mined. That is, of course, a massive amount, meaning fewer new coins are coming onto the market. Source, Kaspa Explorer. Then before we continue, definitely join the free 10x Insiders. You just have to register by email and you'll get tools that support you in your investing process, right? It's extremely powerful. The tools they really provide added value. It's not just a Telegram group or something like others, but really concrete tools that you can use in everyday life, and it's completely free. So feel free to start right away. You can scan the code here, then you'll go straight to the 10x Insider. Yes, next news are partnerships and integration. On the one hand, we have an energy group possibly testing Kaspa as a pilot project, right? Announced on August 12th, the certificate registry is planned for the Gulf region, meaning a real business purpose might be tested. Source, Kaspa Industrial Initiative. Strong news if that really goes through. Then team and funding. Let's take a look at that. An unknown wallet has now suddenly become a major holder, right? We have seen 1.147 billion Kaspa collected in total, representing a current market value of approximately $42.9 million US. So in other words, a major buyer now holds a lot of coins. Source 0TX on July 16th, right? Exciting accumulation is happening. Next, let's move on to the latest community and ecosystem news. You'll notice that the number of wallets is growing quite slowly, but it is certainly doing so in a steady and consistent manner, right? Over 500,000 wallets. There are already a huge number of wallets, but the top 1,000 wallets hold about 58.8%. But that's a positive thing because ownership is quite widely distributed. Source, Coinpedia on August 7th. Now the question is, what's coming up next for you? Extremely important, right? On one hand, we have the next reduction in coin supply in 20 days. That's on September 4th. Miners are going to be receiving less KAS once again, right? That is actually a positive thing, of course, at least for the price in the long run. Then, we have the upcoming Senate vote for the US crypto law, which is also called the Clarity Act, coming up in just 31 days, right? That would mean that altcoins and Kaspa would benefit if there are clear rules. Then we have an energy summit with Kaspa speakers in 45 days, an industry meeting in Istanbul on energy trading, right? That could be a positive next step because of this Gulf project that I mentioned earlier. Yes, now we'll go into the chart analysis as usual with my 10x indicator and I'll show you. Is Kaspa currently overvalued, right? Is there an entry point, an exciting one? Or are we rather at a top formation, right? The 10x indicator makes the chart readable. You can scan it here to get more info. But now let's go straight into the chart analysis. So here we are in the chart analysis for Kaspa. Kaspa has had an interesting development, it must be said. You're getting live news here that's very exciting because I'm doing this on August 15th. By the way, I always keep the charts up to date, the chart analyses of course, so that you're in the loop, and I'll upload the video today too. So let's take a look at the whole thing. We had a small red dot appear right here on August 11th, right? That signal was then confirmed, and the 10x indicator formed a target zone. That target zone was hit, and the median was also almost perfectly hit. So that worked out very well for a start. But now, what has happened is extremely exciting because we have just formed a big green dot, which isn't confirmed yet, right? If it were confirmed, you would see the target zone. In other words, it's also possible that we go down and it's not confirmed. You have to be careful there, but exciting for now. A big green dot means that we're now entering a possible bottoming out. So that you don't miss the target zone, if the big green dot is confirmed, I recommend using the 10x indicator yourself. As I said, I'll link the code here for you, you can scan it. And the price for the annual membership is also very, very attractive right now. You can take a look at everything and then you definitely won't miss any potential bottom or top formations, especially with Kaspa. Anyway, that's the situation at the moment, right? It could very well be that the green dot isn't confirmed after all, and we might see the price go down further. But for now, it remains a really interesting situation for Kaspa. Now let's look at the whole thing from another perspective, namely on the weekly chart, right? That's very significant, of course, because it's weekly. We saw, right, here was the full bull run, then a massive crash, and on the weekly chart, we had a small red dot, so a possible bearish trend reversal. And here too, as you can see, we basically almost hit the median on the 10x indicator. But there's no news on that at the moment. But it's exciting that we're slowly getting into the oversold zone down here, so it could get exciting in the long run too. But I personally assume that Bitcoin will pull the altcoins along with it, just as it always does, and likely go a bit lower. However, we will still see a clear bottoming out later this year. Yes, thanks for watching. I'll link another video here for you that might be interesting regarding Kaspa. I'll link it here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.